The air crackled with tension. The earth trembled under the weight of thousands of tanks. The Battle of Kursk, the biggest tank battle in history, was about to begin. Over 6,000 tanks faced each other on the Eastern Front in July 1943. This wasn't just a battle. It was a clash of ideologies, a struggle for survival. The fate of the Eastern Front and perhaps the entire war hung in the balance. The scale of the battle was immense. The noise was deafening. The courage of the soldiers on both sides was undeniable. Kursk would become a byword for mechanized warfare, a terrifying glimpse into the future of conflict. By the summer of 1943, World War II had been raging for almost 4 years. The conflict had spread across continents, engulfing nations in a relentless struggle for survival and dominance. The Eastern Front, stretching from the Arctic Circle to the Black Sea, was a scene of unimaginable brutality. This vast expanse of land witnessed some of the most ferocious battles in human history. Hitler's Germany, after its initial successes, was bogged down in a war of attrition against Stalin's Soviet Union. The initial blitzkrieg tactics that had brought swift victories were now met with fierce resistance. The vast plains of Russia became the stage for a titanic struggle, a clash of empires with millions of lives at stake. The harsh winters and endless steppes added to the misery of the soldiers on both sides. The German army, the Wehrmacht, was a formidable fighting force. They were well-equipped, highly trained, and had a reputation for being nearly unstoppable. Well-equipped and highly trained, they were masters of mobile warfare, the blitzkrieg. Their tactics relied on speed, surprise, and overwhelming force to break through enemy lines. But they were facing a new kind of enemy in Russia. The Soviet Union, vast and resilient, posed challenges that the Germans had not encountered before. The Red Army, though initially reeling from the German invasion, was determined to defend its homeland. They had learned from their early defeats and were now better organized and equipped. They were fueled by patriotism and a hatred for the invaders. Soviet propaganda played a crucial role in boosting the morale of the troops and the civilian population, instilling a fierce determination to repel the German forces. The Battle of Kursk was born out of a German offensive plan, Operation Citadel. This plan was conceived by the German High Command in early 1943, following their defeat at Stalingrad. The Germans were determined to regain the upper hand on the Eastern Front. Hitler, desperate for a victory, aimed to encircle and destroy the Soviet forces around the Kursk salient, a bulge in the front line. He believed that a successful offensive here would not only cripple the Soviet war effort, but also boost the morale of the German troops and the German populace. He hoped this decisive blow would regain the initiative and cripple the Soviet war effort. The German forces amassed a formidable array of tanks, including the new Panther and Tiger tanks, which they believed would be the key to breaking through the Soviet defenses. However, Soviet intelligence was excellent. The Soviets had a well-established network of spies and informants who provided them with crucial information about the German plans. They knew about the German plans. This foreknowledge allowed the Soviets to prepare extensively for the impending attack. They analyzed the German strategy and devised a comprehensive defensive plan. They prepared for a massive counteroffensive. The Soviet High Command, led by Marshal Zhukov, orchestrated a meticulous plan to not only defend against the German assault, but also to launch a counterattack that would turn the tide of the battle. The Soviets, under the leadership of Generals Zhukov and Rokossovsky, meticulously fortified their positions. They constructed an elaborate network of trenches, bunkers, and minefields to slow down and weaken the German advance. They created multiple defensive lines, heavily mined and protected by anti-tank guns. These defenses were designed to absorb the initial German onslaught and inflict maximum casualties on the attacking forces. They massed their tank reserves, including the legendary T-34, ready to unleash a counterattack at the opportune moment. The T-34 tanks, known for their durability and firepower, were a crucial element in the Soviet strategy. The stage was set for a titanic clash. Both sides were aware that the outcome of this battle could determine the future course of the war on the Eastern Front. The Battle of Kursk would become one of the largest and most brutal tank battles in history. The Battle of Kursk was more than just a clash of ideologies, it was a clash of technologies. The German panzers, including the fearsome Tiger and Panther tanks, were technological marvels. They boasted heavy armor and powerful guns. They were designed to dominate the battlefield. But the Soviets had a secret weapon, the T-34 tank. It was less sophisticated than the Tiger, but it was rugged, reliable, and easy to produce in vast numbers. Its sloped armor and powerful 76.2mm gun made it a formidable opponent. The clash between these titans of steel would decide the fate of the battle. Section 5. Echoes of Kursk. Stories from the battlefield. The Battle of Kursk, fought in the summer of 1943, stands as one of the largest tank battles in history. It was a clash of titanic proportions where the fate of nations hung in the balance. The Battle of Kursk was a maelstrom of steel and fire. The ground trembled under the weight of thousands of tanks, and the sky was darkened by the smoke of relentless artillery fire. Millions of men fought and died in the inferno. The battlefield was a chaotic symphony of destruction, where every inch of ground was contested with fierce determination. One young Red Army tanker, Dmitry Latoshnikov, later recalled the terror and chaos of his first tank battle. The confusion, the noise, and the overwhelming fear that gripped every soldier. The earth shook, the air was filled with the roar of engines and the shriek of metal. The very ground seemed to come alive with the fury of battle. It was like being inside a furnace. The heat was unbearable and the noise was deafening. Every moment was a struggle for survival. His story, and countless others like it, paint a vivid picture of the horrors of the Eastern Front. The relentless pressure, the constant threat of death, and the sheer scale of the fighting left an indelible mark on those who survived. The sheer scale of the fighting, the unrelenting pressure, and the determination of both sides to achieve victory created a battlefield unlike any other. The soldiers faced not only the enemy, but also the harsh elements and the ever-present specter of death. The constant threat of death from above and below, the relentless artillery barrages, and the deadly aerial bombings made every moment a test of endurance and courage. It took a heavy toll on both sides. The physical and emotional scars of the battle were profound, and the cost in human lives was staggering. But amidst the carnage, there were also acts of incredible bravery, self-sacrifice, and camaraderie. Soldiers formed bonds that would last a lifetime, and their stories of heroism continue to inspire us today. The Battle of Kursk remains a testament to the resilience and courage of those who fought. Section 6. Turning the tide, Kursk's strategic significance. After a week of brutal fighting, the German offensive stalled. Their losses were unsustainable. The Soviet counteroffensive, launched on July 12th, pushed the Germans back. The Red Army had won a decisive victory, marking a turning point in the war. Kursk shattered the myth of German invincibility. It showed that the Red Army, once considered an inferior force, could defeat the Wehrmacht in a head-on confrontation. The victory at Kursk boosted Soviet morale and had a profound psychological impact on both sides. It marked the beginning of the end for Hitler's dreams of conquering the East. Section 7. Beyond the battlefield. Kursk's legacy. The Battle of Kursk left an indelible mark on history. It was a battle of unprecedented scale and ferocity, a clash of titans that would forever be etched in military annals. The battlefield, scarred by tank tracks and littered with the wreckage of war, stood as a silent testament to the human cost of conflict. But Kursk's legacy extends beyond the battlefield. It highlighted the importance of intelligence gathering, strategic deception, and the effective use of combined arms. It also served as a grim reminder of the horrors of total war, the devastating impact on both soldiers and civilians caught in the crossfire. Section 8. Learning from Kursk military doctrine and innovation. The lessons learned at Kursk had a profound impact on military thinking. The battle highlighted the importance of anti-tank warfare, the need for mobile reserves, and the effectiveness of close air support. It also spurred innovations in tank design, communications, and battlefield tactics. The T-34, once considered crude and unsophisticated, became a template for future tank designs. The German experience at Kursk also led to the development of new tactics and technologies, such as improved tank destroyers and attack aircraft. The battle, while a Soviet victory, proved to be a valuable learning experience for both sides. Section 9. Conclusion. Kursk's enduring importance. The Battle of Kursk, a pivotal moment in World War II, stands as a testament to human resilience and the destructive power of modern warfare. It was a clash of ideologies, a struggle for survival, and a turning point in the conflict. The echoes of that epic battle still resonate today, reminding us of the human cost of conflict and the importance of peace. As we commemorate the anniversary of this momentous battle, let us remember the sacrifices made by all those who fought and died at Kursk. Let us also reflect on the lessons learned from that conflict, striving for a future where such battles are relegated to the history books.